All right, so here's my YT Izzo 2021. It was ordered. I ordered it at the end of December of 21. I didn't receive it until I think, was it March or April? I forget now. I've had it for like a couple months now. I think I finally put over 100 miles on it. Yeah, I don't ride that much. You know, I ride only about once a week. My longest ride is 10 miles. My shortest ride is probably, I don't know, 4 miles, 5 miles. And most of my rides are like around 6 miles or so. Just in my backyard. The little park in my backyard. So anyways, so let's look at what I've done to it and just to basically make me fit me a little better, not just ergonomically, but also my riding style and my body weight. So actually, let me get it a little closer. Let's look at the seat angle. So you look at that seat angle, you see that it's pointing down. It's pointing down like that because, you know, most of the time I spend my time riding up the hill. So around here, anyways, for me, I usually spend like an hour or so riding up the hill, and only about 15 minutes riding down the hill. So when you're riding up, you know, the incline is up. So when that happens, the seat will actually level out, and it's just right, because if you leave this, if the you know, right now the bike is, you know, it's on flat ground. So if it's on flat ground and you leave the seat leveled, when you're climbing, the seat's actually pointing up, and it actually, you know, it makes my balls go numb. And you know, it's not healthy to have your balls go numb for an hour long. You know, you get like prostate problems when you get older. There's that. So yeah, so that's with the seat. There's that. And obviously, you know, I changed the angle of the handlebars and the brake lever and stuff to fit me better. I also cut down the handlebars too. Originally, this race face handlebar here, I'm not even sure what model race face handlebar this is, but anyways, originally this handlebar was 780 width. Then I cut down, you know, at the end of if you take it off the grip, at the end you see the lines every 10 millimeters. So I cut it down 10 millimeters off on each side, so that made it to 760. I still felt too wide, and I cut it down to another 10 millimeters on each side. So now it's basically 740. You know, I'm a small guy. I'm only 5'7" on a good day, 5'6" if I'm like completely beat up and dehydrated. So I'm a small guy, so I don't need some wide ass handlebars. But also, how the width of your handlebars, also how comfortable it fits. You know, ergonomically, how well it fits. Also has to do with the sweep angle too. So the wider the bars, the more sweep you need. So if it doesn't have that much sweep and your shoulders are narrow, you need to be a little bit narrower, the bars to be a little bit narrower for it to fit you properly. Otherwise, it feels really awkward. You know, for example, I have carpal tunnel, and at the original width, holding it outwards, because the sweep here is not that much. It caused my wrist to just be at an awkward angle, and it just, you know, it hurt my wrist. So I had to bring it down to fit me ergonomically. So there's that. Other thing with fit up ergonomically is the crank. So this bike came with a SRAM NX 175 millimeter crank, and but I use a 170. 170 is like the most ergonomical fit for me. You know, I've tried it all. I tried 185, 175. Excuse me, not 185. 180, 75, 70, 65. And I did this like 2 decades ago, back in the early 2000s, like 2001 or so, 2001. I played around with that length back then, and I found that 170 was the perfect fit for me. So ever since then, I've always used a 170 crank. So I put in a 170 crank. Other thing I did was, when I got this crank, I put in a oval ring. The oval ring is interesting. It's because, you know, you would think that a round ring, as you spin, it would feel round, but because our legs are not, wasn't really meant to be spinning in circles. So when it's an actual circle and our legs are spinning in a circle, it doesn't feel like it's spinning in a circle. It feels kind of awkward. But with this round oval shape, when our legs are spinning it, it feels like it's spinning in a circle. So that's a very peculiar sensation. So this oval shape actually feels more natural than a round shape. So that actually helps. But also because it's oval, and this is a 32 tooth, so oval 32 tooth at the widest part here, it's actually, the radius is actually bigger. So that means basically it's kind of geared taller when it's at that point. So right here's the widest point. It's right here. So it's actually taller gearing. It's like instead of a 32 tooth, it's kind of like a 33 tooth or maybe even a 34 tooth. But when you go to the narrow section of it, it's actually smaller. So instead of 32 tooth, it's like 31 tooth or maybe even 30 tooth. So it's like 1 or 2 tooth difference at the widest and the narrowest. I think it's probably closer to 1 tooth difference. But anyways, so I did that for ergonomic reasons. And the other thing that made me ride a little better is I changed the hub body. Because this DT Swiss wheels that it comes with is the 370 hub. And the 370 hub comes with a 3-paw. It's a 3-paw hub body, and the paw ring is I think it's a 24 tooth paw ring. And it was, when I was climbing, especially technical climbing, especially in the taller or the bigger back tooth, the slop here, the angle, it was too much. There was too much backlash here. And climbing technical rocky sections, it was, I just had a really hard time. I kept on getting losing my momentum and getting hung up because of that reason. That, and also the longer cranks, the 175 cranks. So now that I put in the ratcheting hub with the ratcheting drive, it's now, I think I can't remember, it's a 52 or 54. I think it's a 54 tooth now. So it's you basically doubled over double the engagement, so that reduces this backlash that you have, so that way it engages quicker, so you can climb up technical sections a lot better. I just came back from a ride, technical climb section, and I rode that section so much better than I did the last time I rode it, when it was still the original paw and the longer crank arm. So let's see, what else did I do to make it fit me better? Suspension. So the float rear shock here, it came with one volume spacer reducer. So I took that off, and the reason why is when I set with that in there, from the factory with it in there, I set my sag to about 30% or so. I'd like to use 30% on both my front and rear. So when I set my sag to 30%, I could not get full travel. I was kind of far away from the full travel. So when I took that, so when I reduced the pressure, so that way I could get more travel, the sag was just too much. So that's not right. That's not a proper setup. So I took that out. I pumped it back up to higher, so that way I could get the 30% back of sag. Then I have more travel now. Now, the top of the travel is probably about right at the tip of my fingernail right there. So I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 8 millimeters or so away from there. So I'm probably like, I don't know, maybe 15 millimeters of actual wheel travel or so away. And the ride I just went on wasn't too bad, or it could be worse if I would to ride faster. But I'm still getting back into shape and getting back into my fitness level, and not just fitness level, but skill level as well. So I wasn't able to ride that as fast as I used to when I used to ride. But this feels much better. It felt much poppier, and just felt much better. Same thing with the front fork. This fork came with 2 volume reducer inside it, and when I set this thing to 30% sag, with those 2 volume reducers, I could not get the full travel. It got up to like somewhere like around right here or so, and that's it. I was never able to get it more than that. So basically I got like, I don't know, less than 100 millimeters of travel. I was never able to get more than 100 millimeters. So I took the 2 volume reducer out. Well, actually, no, before I took the volume reducer out, I actually reduced the pressure to get more travel, but then when I did that, I actually got more than 30% sag, and it was just way too soft. You know, it just didn't feel right. So anyways, I took out the 2 volume reducer, pumped it back up so that way I have proper 30% sag, and now I'm almost at the top. I think the top is probably somewhere about right here when it bottoms out. So right now the front and rear, it's, you know, of the suspension, it's very balanced. So remember, this bike is supposed to be 30 millimeters front and rear, excuse me, 130 millimeters front and rear travel. Actually, I have never measured the back, so it might not be exactly 130 millimeters, but lots of times bike companies will say whatever number, but it might not be exactly at that number. It might be a few millimeters off. So, but anyways, the front and rear, the amount of travel there it's very similar. And the front and rear, they both feel balanced. You know, one doesn't feel like firmer or softer than the other, or, you know, so everything feels nice and balanced right now. So it feels really good. Feels really good. Now that I'm older, I'm older and out of shape. I'm having a lazier riding style compared to when I was younger. So this bike rides fine with the lazy riding style. No problems at all. But also, if you're a little bit more active, a little bit more aggressive, and you could be popping it, and it's also very poppy because the chainstay in the back is it's short enough where the rear could be poppy. So I did that. Also, you know, so the first half of the ride, when I was more fresh, I was able to pop off you know, rocks and lips and things like that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But by the second half, I was just beat, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was like too exhausted to pop, so I just went back to my lazy riding style. Just kind of sat there and just hang on, kind of thing, and it rode fine. Either way, either type of riding style, it rode really well. The way that's set up right now. Let's see. Yeah, so this bike is surprisingly, it feels really good. The only thing that bothers me now is the top tube here. See how it's narrow here at the bottom, and it wides up when I'm pedaling. My knee is about right here, and so far my knee has actually been hitting right here. So I sort of have a little bruiser here, and I've been having that for the last, I don't know, almost every time I ride technical. It only happens when I ride technical rides, is I hit my knee right here. And that's both climbing and mostly climbing. Descending, I actually don't really hit my knee very much. Mostly the climbing, I hit my knee because when you're climbing technical stuff, you know, you're kind of all over the place. The bike's all over the place, and your body's all over the place trying to keep balance because you're going so slow up, you know, up all those chunky stuff. So that's about it. That's the only thing that really bothers me right now. This bike is kind of heavy. You know, it's a short travel trail bike, or you could call it a short travel bike, or a light trail bike, or a heavy cross country bike, or a down country bike, or whatever. You know, realistically, it's a trail bike. So it's not really a cross country, but it's very cross country-ish. You know, it has the ability to be somewhat cross country-ish, and feel more cross country-ish, but it's not really truly cross country feeling. But it's pretty close, and I think it's great for my riding style, my skill level, and fitness level, and most of the type of trails that I do. It's good enough. You know, yeah. So that's my my thoughts on the YT Izzo bike after 100+ miles of riding. Having I think I had it for now about 2 months now or so, or almost 2 months. I put over 100 miles. Again, I don't ride that much. Each time I ride, the maximum I ride is 10 miles, and I've only done that once. Otherwise, most of my rides are like 6 miles, I think. 5-6 miles, pretty short, an hour long or so. It's like an hour-long climb, basically. An hour-long climb and maybe like a 15-minute downhill. That's to sort of get myself back into shape. When I get in better shape, I will do more varied stuff and longer rides. But right now, I'm still too out of shape to do longer rides. So that's how it is when you become an old man. And when I was in my 20s, that was like no problem. Even when I was out of shape, it's like no problem. But when you become middle age, you gotta slow down. All right. So thanks for watching.